Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. I am Meg Kramer, and my co-host is Jessamine Edwards. Get your cocoa,
Hello.
get your slippers on, get up all in here and get cozy. It's time for some winter UX wonderland.
hmm
Jessamine, at this time of the year, do you feel like you're revving up or gearing down?
I continually say to myself, it is time to wind down. It is
Mm-hmm.
time to wrap up. This is not the time to start up new stuff.
Yeah.
And I just was taking a quick break, stepping away from my desk. And you get those thoughts that just flash into your mind like a neon sign. And this thought was like, I am so ready for the holiday. I'm
Mm.
so ready to take a break. So I think that's why I'm not particularly productive
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, kind of moving slow. But that is, I keep telling myself, it's okay. It's okay. I
It
don't
is
have to
okay.
burn through a bunch of work right now. Just take it slow.
I have been working on some things and being like, try, not like extra productive, but like trying fastidiously to try to like create this and do that and all these different like small little projects. And sometimes it just leaves me with like, am I creating work where there's no work to actually be done?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I really
Right.
doing all this for?
I
Am I
know.
just doing it because I really think it should be done? Anyway, I've been left with a lot of questions
Sometimes
around
we
that.
just don't, I think we don't have enough supervision, honestly. Like UX designers get left to their own devices a little too much sometimes. And sometimes I just wish I had a
No,
boss or somebody to look over my shoulder and say, hey, stop it.
well, it's the stuff I'm doing is interesting and sort of fun for me. Like it's the kind of stuff I like doing. But yeah, I'm kind of wondering like, oh, did I just like create something out of nothing and have to have to now hold my own self accountable to it?
Ugh.
That seems unnecessary for the end of the year. Um, Anyway, anywho, last I left you, so I chatted over text with you in between podcasts that
Mm.
Emmett and I, my kid, we finally took the train. We've been
Yay.
saying on a couple podcasts your train commute stories. You're taking the train down to the conference and also taking the train with your family on holidays and things. And so we finally braved it and we did it. And an
Mm-hmm.
hour in, I text you a picture of like us doing great
Mm-hmm. Everybody's
and
looking
like
happy.
and I was like, we're doing it. And then you text me back like, you'll have to tell me how it goes. And I never did. And the reason why is because
Uh-huh.
literally a couple of minutes after I sent that, we did not leave that station. We sat at that station and sat at that station, and the train did
What?
not go. And I am 1 hour into a supposedly 6 hour train ride, less than 6 hour train ride,
OMG.
and now the train is not moving.
What
And
happened?
I'm like, I'm not even halfway done. I'm not
Oh,
even a quarter of the way done
ouch.
with this. And as we're sitting there, 10 minutes go by, 15, 20. Nobody has come on any sort of like radio or told us what's
What?
going on. And I'm sitting on the station side of the train, so like I can see out the window. And I start seeing like security people start
Oh,
coming. And then a couple of minutes later, I see like some police folks coming, but I can't see far enough up the station and up the track to like see where they're going or see what's going on.
uh-oh.
So that was just a real fun time
Oh
because the whole
boy.
time I'm just like staying positive for the toddler, being like, okay, what are we gonna do next? And I'm just like
Yay.
feeding him snacks, feeding him snacks.
Yeah.
So I couldn't bring myself to I had to hold it together for the hour we were delayed,
Oh,
and then some, and make it that very long day back to my home.
uh-huh.
And I could only hold it together and I could not text you back and relate my story to you
You
until
absolutely
this
should have.
moment.
Oh,
I
I
couldn't
mean,
relive it.
that
I
is
couldn't
just
relive it.
par for the course with Amtrak.
Uh
All I can say, did you make it? Did you make it to your destination?
we did. We made it.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Our bag made it. We made it. We didn't, as far as I know, get any terrible diseases, although, man,
Just wait a couple days.
that's one bad part about Amtrak. It's definitely super fun to like
They
sit there
haven't
and
cleaned those
play and
trains since the
color
80s. Yeah.
and play and color and eat snacks with your kid, but um every 5 minutes I'm like taking out the wipes and wiping him down and wiping the
Yep.
tables down, and yeah, it was a lot, and we
Mm.
even splurged for business class. So
Okay.
uh
I thought I
yeah.
saw leather seats. Okay. Very
Are the
nice.
seats different? I don't
They
know.
are. They
Anyway,
are different.
I am that person that brought my child to business class, but we
Good
were
for you.
not the most annoying family. I think objectively we were not. So I'm
No,
gonna count
definitely
that as a
not.
win, and we did get home unscathed. So anyway,
Good for you. Good for
yes.
you.
Will
Well
not be
done.
taking the train anytime soon, but probably when I forget again. Um, so
Well, you tried it. You
I
tried
did
it.
try it. I did try it.
That's what
Um,
counts.
Today, we're going to invite a guest on the podcast. I don't have a great segue other than to say perhaps this person has taken the exact same train that I have, given that he lives down in Southern California along the Surfliner track that I mean, I don't know actually if you live on the track, but like on the what am I trying to
On the
say?
right side of the
On the
tracks,
right
let's
side
hope.
of the track? Oh my gosh. Anyway, no. I just mean like the Surfliner runs up and down the coast of California. Perhaps you've been on this train before. Not a great segue. So I'm just going to go into introducing our guest. Our guest today is a user experience research leader at HubSpot. He's been at a couple of pretty solid named places here: Hulu, Edmunds, ADP, Citrix, and Mattel. Along with his UX work, he's a former counselor and started a journey this year as a soon-to-be certified coach working with active leaders, emerging leaders, and anyone dealing with life transitions, which I'm pretty sure it's everyone. Please welcome to the podcast, Ben Basilan.
Mm.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hey,
Hi,
Ben.
Meg.
How's it
Hey.
going?
It's going well. I have actually taken that train both to Santa Barbara and to San Diego and love it.
Oh,
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 very
good.
good.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
You haven't
Well,
encountered too many annoying people on the train,
No,
I'm
I
assuming.
also do take the business class. Oh, I have encountered people, especially on the way to Santa Barbara, like bachelorette parties.
Mm.
Because,
ooh.
yeah, oh gosh. And then on the way back, loud bachelorette parties because they're
Oh.
tipsy by
Yeah,
that
because you
point.
can drink on the train. People really do get sauced up on the train.
I thought
On,
about that because in business class, I
Hmm.
think one of the drink options is wine or beer. You can just get that, and that comes with your snack pack. And I was like, is it irresponsible for me to do that while I'm the only person like with my kid on the train? I'm glad I didn't, although I think it would have been fine if I did.
Might have
But I
made the
think
train ride go by a little
I know, but I think
easier.
my anxiety was already heightened by like the fact that we were running very behind. Um,
Yeah. Oh.
but that's funny. I bet their train stops here and they
Mhm.
already have like a hired driver or somebody so that they don't have to do anything but like go from train to driver and then go up to wineries, or maybe even just like walk around Santa Barbara and do it down here.
Yeah,
Um,
the station's right at the funk zone too. So I'm like, right,
Mm.
that
yes.
area. Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yes, I'm
funk
actually
zone.
surprised there's not
Forgot
more
about that.
people who this is very specific to Santa Barbara information, but surprised more people since it is such a like walkable and winery area that a train just runs right through, that there's not more incidents of some kind. Glad there are not. Glad there are not. Anyway, so Ben, we've known each other for a little while because we used to work together, and it's been a while since we've been in touch. But one of the reasons I was thinking about you the other day and really wanted you to come on the podcast and reconnect was because you introduced me to a book, and I thought to myself, I bet a lot of UX folks don't know this book, or it hasn't really come up much for me, but every once in a while I kind of go back to it and reread it for tips or tricks or kind of to inform a study that I'm working on. and it's called Secrets of the Master Moderator. Do you remember this book? Do you even remember sharing it with me?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's and the
It's something
author
you
is wonderful.
recommend to a lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah, definitely. I think for two reasons. I think one is oftentimes, and I've seen this with teams that I manage or just people that I've encountered, is like they do something one time, right? And then they feel like, okay, I'm adept at this, or I could do this. And so one thing that the book highlights is that like it takes about what 10,000 hours to truly master something, either through like
Mm.
observations, training, doing it yourself. And it's just a reminder to be humble and patient with yourself as you master any skill. And so for me, it's one of those things where like just because you've done interviews for one study, right? It's just kind of continuing to build and learning from that study yourself.
Yeah,
Also,
actually, the reason this book came up for me was because I am going to be doing some customer calls, and it's been a little while. I know
Mm.
I'm going to be a little rusty, but even hearing you just now, I'm like, oh no, I kind of am relying on the fact that I've I've done this before. Maybe I need to practice. And I even did tell my product partners, I said, hey, can I practice? Like, can we make sure that we have a time for me to like practice these questions, and we even talked about doing like a pre-pilot, like an internal person who kind of could be a like a simulate the type of conversation that we might be having with somebody externally. I don't know if we're going to be able to set that up, but now that you've mentioned this, I'm like, oh man, I really want to ask for that again because I am a little rusty and I definitely can't just rely on the fact that like I've done this once or I've done this before.
yeah, I think it helps you be more intentional and purposeful with like the conversation, right? So it's like if you think about it, you have a finite amount of time. Somebody's, spending time and reserving time out of their day. You're going through the your own time as well. And so I think it ends up, that book is really good about, hey, there's a lot of purposefulness that happens when you ask questions and what's your intent behind those questions.
Mm. Are you
Yeah.
a question
It's-
snob?
I somewhat, yes, a little bit. I would have to say maybe like there's probably because like you know, I've been a counselor, a researcher now, and now getting trained as a coach. I do feel like how you ask questions and the context that you ask questions, um, you know, it it matters, and what you're going to get or
Mm-hmm.
unlock behind that, and the insights that you unlock, uh, might be different depending on the question that you ask. So in some ways, I'm more of like less a snob and maybe more just thoughtful about it.
Mm. So give us some tips. How do you frame a good question when you're in a conversation with somebody that you don't know that well?
Definitely, keeping it open. I think one of the things that that book really highlights is around, practicing sophisticated naivety, and it just I love that for so many reasons because I think it's just something that you could probably apply to your life in general. And so I guess framing a question was to me would be around like not making an assumption that you know the answer and
Mm.
really allowing that person to help guide you. And so how often is it that we are expected to know something? And so what I love about research sessions or just asking questions in any type of setting is you don't have to know everything.
Mm.
You can ask those questions and unpack like the meaning behind things at a deeper level as get to know somebody. And I think even like from a research perspective, what I see sometimes is like people asking very specific and pointed questions to just get the answer that they need and then moving on, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
like building up to that question and understanding the full context as to like, what does a person go through when they're using your product, or what are they going through when they're buying something? And so instead of just, I guess, maybe less of the specific questions, Jessamine, in terms of like a format, I'd say
Mm-hmm.
if you have a question in mind, maybe trying to understand the things around the edges of that question, right? So like the pre things that happen before you want to ask about a specific area of um, uh, your product. Like we work
Right.
on work interfaces, for example, is like instead of just three screens in, give me your feedback. It's how do you start your day?
Mm.
What leads up to that specific area? And so not making those assumptions in terms of like, oh, we've already heard this from other people because you might have heard that from other people, but you haven't heard it from this exact person. And you
Mm-hmm.
might unlock something. And if you skip over some of those,
Mm.
contextual types of questions, you miss out on opportunities.
I am very curious. Sorry, Mike. I just want to ask one thing about this idea of sophisticated naivete. I've never heard this phrase before. So, what does it mean?
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
want to tell a
it,
story about this actually and see
Yes.
see if this has ever happened to you, Ben. So I have uh been doing like a customer call. PM is listening in, being quote unquote an observer, but like not really. Um, I'm like facilitating the conversation, asking the questions, and I'll ask some questions, and the PM jumps in and answers them like, and I'm like,
Ah.
afterwards, I'm like I also know some answers to the questions I'm asking, but like you do you think that like do you think that I
I love
don't know
it.
the product very well, or like why would you think
hmm
that that is really something I don't know? Like what I want to know is how this person experiences it. So like so anyway, that's kind of like
Oh,
when you were
I
talking,
love
Ben, like
that.
that's what that reminded me of was like those experiences where I've tried to kind of express like curiosity, like genuine curiosity, and
Yes.
then and then it kind of uh like being interpreted as like I don't know my own product.
That is just wonderful. You
That
gave me a Christmas gift. That was just a beautiful story.
That's exactly what it is. But I don't even know how else to put it that way. You've given a perfect example for it. But this is the point of like, how great would it just be if people practice that in general, right? Like instead of like coming across as like a know-it-all, just really spending that time to have more presence with the people that you're around. Like you
Mm,
can even apply it like people are going to be, going visiting family, I'm sure during the holiday, but like actually practicing that even with your family to like be able to like spend time to
Hmm.
get to know that person, like it's a great way to get to just have somebody feel like you're fully present for them. And that's where I think that comes across when you're especially doing research. For as a coach, I'd say one example that I think that this has really helped me as a coach is like fundamentally one of the things that I'm learning is leading from behind. And so that is like speaks to me in so many ways of like
mm,
how I've managed people in the past, how I like to, be able to allow somebody to be able to guide me and kind of let me give you a little bit more insight into their world as opposed to me imposing the things that I
yeah.
know, about
Hmm.
something.
Ugh, this is so relevant. Like this is so
I'm
immediately
very
relevant for
curious.
me today because I I brought up something early this week and I let it go that like nobody gave me acknowledgement that I was the one who brought it up, and then I was in a meeting today and I could not say something, and I was
Mm,
and it's just like why can't I just like let it lie, like I clearly led the project in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to, I you know what I mean, like I can just kind of like be the supporter, the shepherd of some of these things. I don't need to be like, and it was also my idea. Like
right.
I don't need to get out in front of it and be that anyway. That's very good reminders. So okay, so you mentioned you're working on becoming a coach. And there's a lot of like overlapping skills, sounds like. But why do you want to become a coach? Why now? And is this like a breakup with
Yes.
UX? Are you done with
Tell us
UX?
what's going on, because I'm
Yeah.
not up to speed, Ben. I want to hear.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's definitely the answer is it's an evolution, and in some ways it is UX's fault because I think very holistically in general now, especially being a user experience researcher and you know wanted to really take time to figure out what's next for me. And so, wanting to build off of my skills as a counselor, as a UX researcher versus just throwing it away and starting from scratch. And so I landed on coaching. I'd also say it's a tough time right now in the field. And instead of feeling out of control of my own destiny, I wanted to be proactive and give myself options for whatever comes next at whatever time it
Hmm.
is. And so, coaching for me is
Mm.
just the next iteration of like what I feel like is going to be my best self. So in lots of ways, it is because of UX's fault, but in a really positive way.
You sound so you sound so balanced and like like in control. You do sound in control, even though it kind of maybe came from a place of this industry being very volatile, our career opportunities not being as stable as maybe they once were.
Oh, there's been a lot of work and self-reflection happening there. So like that's nice to hear, but
Takes,
internally there's
yeah.
turmoil at times. So
Okay. Well, that's probably good for folks to know. It doesn't just happen overnight and probably takes coaching as well to come to a
yeah.
place of what's the
So
next like vision for yourself.
You know
I
what
want to,
really helped with was like I started doing like meditation and acceptance practices, and oh man, it's helped out a lot.
well, I want to understand, like, are you becoming a UX coach or just like a life coach, or what kind of coach is it?
Yeah, I think, as I'm exploring kind of my interest in the field too, is really looking at both personal and professional coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so, whether that's working with active leaders or even people that are emerging as leaders, I've been a people manager, and oftentimes, especially like, a lot of people are familiar with executive coaching, which is great, but there
Mm-hmm.
are lots of people that can benefit from coaching at any level. And leadership isn't just about people managing, right? It's a skill. Anybody can be a
Mm-hmm.
leader regardless of what your position is. And so it kind of feels like being able to offer that up at whatever level from a professional standpoint. And then I also say like transition coaching, like I've gotten to work in several different fields. And so even working with people that even might be transitioning out of UX into other fields,
Mm-hmm.
would be something that I'm interested in. I know that there are specific coaches that work with UX professionals or tech professionals, but I think there's something interesting about different work transitions in general.
Are you going into business for yourself? I mean, is that what this means?
I think right now, I think it's an additional opportunity for me to be able to practice, you know, a different skill set in terms of I'm still a UX researcher and I enjoy being a UX researcher. And so for however long that happens is great, but I also want to
Mm-hmm.
be mindful of like what are my aspirations
What else is
outside
out
of
there?
that. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like a lot of it is like not wanting to feel like something is just happening to me, but wanting to make something happen. And if something ever happened, just due to,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in our field and industry, I want to be able to land somewhere where I'm really happy with that and content and feel like I, you
Hmm.
know, have some direction. And so
Yeah.
coaching for me is
Mm-hmm.
like an opportunity to be able to do two things that I genuinely enjoy doing, right? And love doing. So right now it's in addition to being a researcher, I'm also a coach.
This is probably
Do
not the right question or a question that is all that valuable. But what do you think is coming which job is AI coming for more? The coaching job or the UX researcher job or just UX in general? Like which
Ooh,
one's gonna which one's gonna be replaced by AI first?
Meg.
Maybe we'll just leave it at that.
I, you know, I
Or ideally neither.
I don't think it's going to replace these jobs in that there is still that human component. I think, it might help scale for people that, don't have the, ability or means to have a coach, right? It is a thing of like in some ways I sometimes think of it as like as I'm learning, it's like it is a little bit of like some privilege or like something that I have available to me to be able to afford a coach or to afford this. And so I think in some ways, wouldn't it be great for people to be able to do and get coaching um, or have research done if they didn't have the means to be able to do that with a human person, right? Like
Hmm.
that's wonderful. You could scale that way. But I think there are also the other side of it where there's going to be people that genuinely want a human doing those things because it's a
Mm.
different type of connection. And there are different things I think when it comes to like uh like the way that you ask that is like I think about it from like this like work standpoint of like a researcher and the insights that you unlock for a product to be built for like revenue versus like insights that you're unlocking to help a person, be a better person or a better version of themselves. And I'm kind
Hmm.
of like, I don't know if you can replicate that entirely in with AI in
Hmm.
terms of the back and forth exchange that happens that on a human level.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I just like to envision our dystopian futures. Play out those scenarios. See which version I'm most afraid of.
So, Ben, when you talked about being a researcher, being a counselor, like, are you finding that anything is changing these days about how you're coming at your research? Is the pendulum swinging back to doing more customer on-sites or in-person interaction, or has it kind of changed to unmoderated or AI or whatever, like forever? Like, are we locked into remote everything, going forward, or has anything like trend wise been kind of swinging back toward any sort of humanity?
Mm.
Do you mean, Justman, like has there been any like in-person interviews done recently? That kind
Right,
of a
like,
thing?
or do you see
Do we do any
researchers?
site visits anymore?
Yeah, like, are
Ben, do
is
you do
that
any
even a
site
thing
visits?
anymore?
It
Yeah.
is so interesting that you brought that up because like that is we're road mapping for next year, and that is one of the things that we were suggesting doing.
Mm-hmm.
In my current work, like actually going to an office, specifically like a call center for the product that I support, to be able to actually see what that looks like. So I think that the way that I think about it is like, yeah, I think definitely what I've seen different is like how much more tools that we have available to us from a research standpoint. Like I was playing around in Dovetail, for example, and we have access to that. And so it's amazing to me just to kind of see compared to like when I first started research, these weren't really all these available tools that you have an ability to have like actual, we were still sending in audio for transcription purposes, right? Versus
Hmm.
like having
Mm-hmm.
something available immediately transcribed at a pretty
Hmm.
good quality, being able to like tag things, collaborate really easy. And then even some of the AI summaries, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing that this is available. And even have started kind of like playing around with AI to help synthesize some information is like saves time and you still have to put that thought into it in terms of like how does this connect to the business and what I'm hearing from people that the technology is not capturing that, it's not capturing those outside conversations outside of the tool that then I add meaning behind it, right? So I think efficiency is definitely improving with that technology. But yeah, like I've been doing a lot of remote, interviews in the past couple of years, or my teams have been doing remote interviews, but there is something to be said. Probably, I think it has to do more like with what your product actually is also, right? Like depending on
Mm-hmm.
what you're building, like is it something that's being used in person, or is it
Right.
something fully like something that's probably more I don't know how much more you're going to get out of it doing it in person versus
Hmm.
remote. So I think like
Mm.
what is the value? I always think of like if you're doing these types of things, like again, the purposefulness behind it is like what is the value that you're getting that you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be getting by doing something remote? And is that value like worth it?
Worth it.
And
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna share a story. So we had like a team offsite a couple months ago. I flew to the Midwest, and as part of the offsite, we did some in-person interviews with some fellow employees about some topics, related to their employment. And we just had two. It was two folks that had been recruited, and they came in, they talked for, I don't know, 40 minutes or something on their topic. I was so moved by their stories. I was fired up. I was fired up because their stories to them, right? Like it's not that exotic. But for me, I hadn't really heard people talk about this before and share stories around this before. And it really left an impression on me. And I thought and thought and thought about these people for days afterward. And I thought, oh my God, as somebody who's done plenty of interviewing, for many projects and many features and da 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 da, I just was stunned at how different it landed for me when I was talking to these people in person and how much I kept thinking back because they're sitting in the chair next to me. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It made it real. And I just thought to myself, like, whoa, that was powerful. It was really powerful. And I keep thinking about this because of my team now. I think there are so many people that never get a chance to meet a customer, to hear a customer talk, to see a customer
Mhm.
use the product that they work on sometimes for years.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just that very simple act of like, hey, let's sit down and I'll give you my laptop and you can click through this.
I,
And,
yeah. I
go
feel like I
ahead.
started this recording with you folks, like just being a little kind of like, as much as I was excited about this research project that I'm working on, like I was also tentative to start it. It's going to be a lot of work, but now I kind of am feeling like, oh yeah, no, I feel like this really does have a lot of value. It's not going to be in person. I wish it was, but it's not. But even this conversation is making me feel more excited about being able to engage with people who work with a product that I work on,
Mhm.
where I really haven't before. And I'm really, I don't know, I'm getting
Your
excited.
inner
Yeah,
empath
My,
that's
yeah,
like
good.
lights up. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It's
yeah,
like, yeah. And
that's
that's
true.
why a
Yeah,
lot of us got into UX is because
yeah.
we watching people fight with technology, we come down on the side of the people, instead
Yeah,
of on the side of the
yeah.
tech. That's what we're all about. So, yeah.
Yeah, we only have a
Um
Yeah.
couple of minutes left. Oh, but Ben, one thing I want to sneak in here, and I'll let you have the last word too, is um, what is the difference between one-on-one conversations that I feel like we see all the time in UX and like small group or focus group type conversations, and like what are any thoughts on that that you can share with us? Because I think you've had experience in quite a few different methods of how many people you've have had to talk to at one given time.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting because I started off in a consumer insights group, which um, it leans towards like market research, but we did a lot of like product research as well. So but because of that, I did so many focus groups, and then when I got into UX it was like, oh, a no right, like you don't do focus groups, and that people are
Hmm.
going to bias each other as a in the sessions. And I think they both have their purposes. It's like any method. It's like what are you trying to accomplish with that? And so group settings are great early on, like to get, more feedback um, from an efficiency standpoint. If there's kind of like uh, insights that you're trying to generate from like a concept, and getting feedback on specific some concepts early stages versus like one-on-ones where you're maybe a little bit more in a certain direction that you want to go to be able to like have somebody on their own try something out from
Hmm.
a concept standpoint versus like just super rough. It
mhm.
depends on the product, I'd say too, because I worked on physical products and digital products. And so some of that is like, I think was a little bit different for me when I started moving specifically into the digital space and UX around like the functionality of something versus like working
Mhm.
on a product, which is like there was a lot of emotional things tied to a certain brand when it comes to that product. And so from a focus group standpoint, it was really great to get some of those early high level insights in terms of like testing out those concepts versus like a concept test for a tech product. You have to actually want to see it used. And so there was some nuance there of like wanting to see something used versus just getting some information about like this a physical product that might not necessarily be something that you're trying to get the utility out of it, just software standpoint.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, our time has really flown by. I can't believe we have to end the podcast here, but we thank you so much for coming on the podcast, reconnecting with us, sharing your stories, sharing your hopes for the future. And we're so glad to be able to have you on. Thank you so much.
So great to talk to you both.
Thank you so much, Ben. Folks, if you need any advice or sympathy for your UX career, we are listening. Write to us at survivingux@gmail.com. Bye bye.
Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamine Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones, Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. You probably already guessed it, but the word I was looking for was route, the Surfliner train route, living along the Surfliner train route, which runs north to south on the California coast. Only took me the entire conversation, a little bit of post-conversation, but I got it. Don't worry, I got it.